Okay, welcome. So Anthropic has introduced something new called Claude Code for Web, and it's very intriguing, so I'm going to go through it today. So this is one of those Anthropic products that just kind of got released without a lot of fanfare, but it's very, very interesting. It's definitely not going to replace the CLI, but it's got some really nice benefits for if you just need to do something really quick or you need to change something in the repository. So the way it works is Claude Code for Web is basically a GitHub extension. It's an application that you install into GitHub, and then you can go to the Claude website and execute prompts against the GitHub repository. So as you're executing the GitHub prompts against the repository, it's going to create a new branch. So the overall process for this is you select the repository that you want to work on. Then Claude is going to go out, it's going to create a new branch in the Anthropic environment. So you don't have to actually install anything on your desktop. Then you're going to vibe code through your browser, and then as soon as you think everything's ready, you can clone it down to your own development environment to test it, but then you would create a pull request to merge the code in. So let me get started. This is actually a fairly simple process, but at first it seems a little bit confusing because there's a few things that you definitely need to do. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to log into the repository that I want to use. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to sign in. Signing into my repository. So now I'm signed into my repository. I also want to be signed into my Claude code. So I have Claude Desktop installed over here. You see over here, down here, I'm onto my max plan. You notice I have none of the connectors set yet. So this is going to be one of the things that we're going to do as part of this process. So what I'm going to do is I come over here down at the bottom of Claude Code. I go to my name, then I click on settings. That gets me to here. Then I'm going to click on connectors, and then I'm going to click GitHub. Now this is going to connect to my currently logged in GitHub account. So that's what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to click connect, and then now it's going to say, do you want to authorize Claude? And I'm going to say I'm authorizing Claude. So now I've authorized Claude, and now it is going to connect me to that repository. So now it asked me if I wanted to open up my desktop app, and I did. So now I'm going to come back over here, and notice I'm now connected. So I now have a connector to GitHub. And so now I'm going to come back over to here, and I'm going to go to claude.ai/code. And once I'm here, I'm connected, and I want to now connect my repository that I want to use to Claude Code. So what I'm going to do is I am going to come down to the bottom where it says install GitHub app. So I'm going to click install GitHub app. Now it's going to say install the GitHub app. Now the GitHub app must be installed in all repositories where you want to use Claude Code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on install app. Now it's going to say install and authorize Claude. So I'm going to say yes, I want it for all of my repositories. So now I'm going to install and authorize. And this is going to bring me over again to my Claude AI settings, which I'm not actually sure why it comes over here. I feel like it should come over to connectors, but it just kind of comes over to general. But it shows that I've got this done. So now I'm going to come back to my main window. I'm going to hit cancel. And then now you see I have some new repositories. So these are the repositories that if I go over to my GitHub, these are the same repositories in Claude that I have over here in my GitHub. So now I can work with them. We're going to select the repository that we want to work on. So I'm going to pull it down, and we're going to select something called PHP Chunk Upload. Now, PHP Chunk Upload is an old project I developed a really long time ago, and basically what it does is it lets you upload giant files to your web server, because PHP has a limitation for how big you can upload files and how long it can take. So what this does is it bypasses all that. It uses JavaScript and HTML, and it's just great for uploading large files. It also has a feature where you can just do an entire directory. So if you've got an entire folder that you want to upload, this is just a utility that I've built. But ever since 2024, there's been some bugs in it, and we're going to use Claude Code on the web to fix it. So the first thing I'm going to do is, so we're in my Vibe Templates PHP chunk upload, and then I'm going to say, please tell me what this repository does. So now what you'll see is as soon as we say that, it is going to start up. It's cloning the repository. It's starting Claude code. And now it's doing all of this on Anthropic equipment. So we're not actually doing it on our own equipment. So this is really good for just simple tasks. Like, in order for me to make this fix, and the reason I haven't made this fix is I would have to download the repository. I work in a development branch, which I'll talk about. There would have been just a lot of work, a lot more work to fixing this than this is going to take us. So what we have here is, based on my analysis of the code, this repository is a PHP chunked file upload system. Here's what it does. This is a lightweight file upload system that handles large files and entire directories by breaking them into smaller chunks of 2 meg each and uploading them sequentially to a PHP server. So if you've got a PHP server, all you do is you copy these 3 files in, and now you can upload an entire directory. Now, it does say this system is useful for uploading large files or bulk file transfer where traditional single request uploads would fail or time out. So that's what this says. Now, if we want to look at our branching strategy, though, on this PHP chunk upload, I have a main branch, which is locked down. So you can only push into the main branch doing pull requests. And then I have a development branch. So what you'll notice here is that there is no way to switch branches here. So what I want to do is I'm going to switch the branch just by telling Claude to switch the branch for me. When in doubt, when you don't see a button that you think you need, just ask Claude to do it, and it'll try to figure it out for you. So I'm going to say, please switch to the development branch and create your feature branches from there. Okay, so I'm telling Claude now that I want to switch over to the feature branch. Now, there is something I noticed on this. I just created a new conversation for the most part. So anytime you're working over on the left part, you're going to see that it's going to start up Claude code again. And now you notice I have 2 conversations. This took a little bit getting used to, and as you can tell, I just kind of messed up with it. So in our first conversation was to find out what it does. Our second conversation is we're setting up the branch workflow. So now what we've done is it says, I'll help you switch to the development branch and create the feature branch from there. Let me first check what branches exist in the repository. Okay, so now you're seeing it's doing its thing. So while we're waiting, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, hit like. It does a huge thing with the YouTube algorithm. You probably found me off of Instagram. This is a completely different platform. You do not find people the same way. So do me a favor, hit like and subscribe. All right, so now we've got a feature branch which was created underneath the dev branch. So now our current status is we're now on the feature branch. So now I know I have a bug here, and I'm going to say chaos upload.php throws a PHP error every time I run it. Please find and fix the error. Now, so it is going to go, and now it is working in its feature branch. Now, if I come back over here to my GitHub while it's doing its thing, and I refresh this page, you're going to see, well, didn't do it yet, has not created the feature branch. But we will get there. Okay, so so we did a git add, we did a git commit. All right, let's see what it did here. So I'll help you find the error, reading chaos upload.php to identify the error. I found the error on line 28. It uses file path before it's defined. The file path variable isn't defined until line 38, which causes a PHP error about an undefined variable. Let me update the to-do and fix the issue. Now, when we're doing this, while we're talking about this, notice there's a couple of things I don't have. I do not have a Claude.md file unless it's in the repository. And I believe if it's in the repository, I'm going to have to tell Claude to use the Claude.md file. So this is kind of taking a lot of the control that you're used to away from you. Now, so now it's created the error. It's committed it to Claude switch dev branch. So now I'm going to go back over here. And it just says Claude switch dev branch has had recent pushes 2 seconds ago. So now I can come back over here. Now, since I wouldn't necessarily have had Git open, I can come over here to create PR. That's creating a pull request. Now, the other thing I can do is I can click on Open in CLI. Now, if I click on Open in CLI, all it's actually doing is creating copying a command to the clipboard that I then can come over to my terminal and paste it in. Now, for this to actually work, I have to be in a directory that is this repository. So I can't just type in Claude teleport because it's actually going to say, well, actually, we definitely don't want that. It's going to try writing it to the directory. So this open in CLI would pretty much be for that testing step that you want to do before you create the pull request. But because this is something simple, which is really the only thing I recommend you use this for, don't be trying to develop an entire application from start to finish. We're just going to go on to create the pull request. So I'm going to hit create PR. Now it's going to come up here and it's going to say open a pull request. And so we move file path definition. I'm going to create the pull request. Okay, checking for the ability to merge with the base branch. So we have no conflicts with the base branch. Now in this case, the base branch is development. So I'm going to hit merge pull request, confirm the merge. Okay, so we reached the last part, which is creating the pull request to merge the code. So as you can see, this is a pretty full-featured application. It isn't something I would recommend to use for your main vibe coding. This is definitely not going to replace the CLI. But if you got some quick changes you need to make to something and you don't want to go through the entire process, this is a really easy way to make quick and simple changes. So again, hit like and follow or like and subscribe, and I appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.